Hey everyone, I'm going to be talking about thriving urban agricultural businesses. Thanks for staying with us for the whole day. This is the last presentation before we finish. I hope you like it. So, where does the money come from and where does it go? Before I moved to Norway and started working in urban agriculture, I worked in the remote central desert of Australia with Indigenous people. Had a fantastic job. My bosses were the matriarchs of the community, these incredibly strong female Indigenous leaders. And for years I worked out there and I became really passionate about nutrition and food security. Those guys hunted a lot. And although I ate a fair few grubs, I didn't get into the meat so much. I'm vegetarian and I took a dive out of that profession and to try and get back into agriculture. I'm from a farming background, so I wanted to grow food again, plants and herbs for people. It was a bit too hard to do that in the desert, and that's how I got to Norway. My name's Nat. This is my fantastic husband, Morten. He's also my business partner in some ways. I'm an urban agroecologist. I'm a small business owner. I'm a community-supported agricultural farm manager and community organizer. I'm a consultant in agroecology, and I'm a farmer. I'm a mentor and a teacher as well. This sounds like a lot because it is. I'm a really busy woman. It's really not easy to make a living as an entrepreneur in a broken food system where people don't value food as much as they should. But what we're finding is that people really value experiences and they are really valuing learning now, relearning now about where their food came from. And this is where urban agricultural jobs can fit in and really thrive. So for profitable urban agricultural businesses, Wageningen University has come up with these 5 business models through their research. And you can read a lot about it on their website. Their models include differentiation, which is where you differentiate yourself from your competitors, but also from people that aren't your competitors. You could be a farmer in a city where you concentrate on rare or traditional types of foods or animals. You could also be doing something different, like what we do in our urban community-supported agricultural farms. You could diversify, have diversification as your model, where you do a lot of different things, offer a lot of different products and experiences. You can keep your business model quite low cost, which is also what I do in my own consulting business. You can do this in a number of ways. And you can be getting, depending on how you approach things, you can be getting subsidies and also financial support from the state and from municipalities in order to do this. You can base your model of urban agriculture on experience itself, where people are directly connected to things. You could be teaching, you can be showing, touring, harvesting with them, or people doing self-pick, all of that sort of thing. The last model that they talk about is reclaiming the commons, and I've added creating the commons. The commons is an old concept where spaces are communal, but a lot of our spaces are private. But we want to open the idea here behind this model is opening them up for people to come in and bring their own activities into a space that might be yours or might be a public space already. So by reclaiming or creating a commons for people on your business premises, you can be inviting in groups such as julebord, hosting julebord, Christmas parties. You could be hosting weddings, kids' birthday parties. You can be hosting the local group of artists to come and do outdoor painting or anything like this. Let's get into what CSA farming is. The idea behind community-supported agriculture, some of them are farms, some of them are not, is that consumers get to know their farmer directly. They get to know where their food comes from, and they know how it's grown and who handled it before it got to them. The premise of CSA, of community supported agriculture, is one of the premises is transparency. We operate where we're completely transparent economically as well as managerially. To our members, we pre-plan our manager strategy, our operations strategy for the year, and they know what's going on because we keep them up to date with a weekly newsletter. Economically, they have input into it too, but we're also transparent to the wider public. So anybody can go onto our website for the farm. I'll show you the name of the farm in a minute. It's a bit complicated. Go onto our website and look at our accounts for years and years and years, our budgets, how we've done. And our budgets have also been published in a number of publications about CSA farming, where we've discussed it. Next, the next premise of community-supported agriculture is that our customers are not just our customers, they're our members, and they share the risk with us as farmers or us as staff members. So usually the farmer bears all the risk. She uses her own money to buy seeds, plants, to buy feed for her animals through the year, and at the end of the year when she can sell everything, she gets a profit, unless she's had a bad season. There's been a natural disaster, or there's been a conflict, a war, or something, and then she loses everything. In community-supported agriculture, which can work in any culture, in any context, not just urban, the consumers, the members, share the risks with us. So they support their food grower, not just physically sometimes, but also financially. They're paying upfront, they pay in advance. It might just be they pay in advance and book in their food boxes for the next 6 weeks, or they book in a share of food from the farm for the next summer or the next 6 months. Or in Norway here, the way we do it is for the whole year. People pay in advance a membership for the whole year. And here in Norway, we also ask our members to support the farms physically by contributing a number of hours at working bees. They might be on the farm, but it might also be that they're not physically capable to work on the farm. So that means they can help me with, for example, formatting our annual report, or help me with translations on the website, things like that. But they contribute a little bit. On my farm, it's just 6 hours a year that our members contribute. So in all cases, a CSA is a short food chain with a membership marketing structure. CSA models happen on a gradient from my perspective. There can be a really distant, for example, I have friends in Berlin. They're members of a CSA that they've never been to. They see pictures of it, and a delivery person delivers a box of food to their door every week. And that sort of farm is usually farmer-owned or producer-owned. And then there could also be a model where people pick up their box centrally. They could pick up their box on the farm. They could come to the farm and harvest their own veggies and do a little bit of work. In some rare cases in Norway, people pay very little for their membership. They harvest all their own veggies by hand, and they do actually a lot of work to contribute. So these ones are fully community owned, like the one that I work on. I'm the manager of Disturjorda CSA farm, Disturjorda Andelslandbruk in Norwegian. It's a not-for-profit, it's a community group, so our profit goes back into our farm, but we make sure that we pay our staff members well. So there's 3 of us. We don't have full-time jobs there. We can explore other sorts of employment and our own projects. We're all business owners too. We have about 150 members. We have had about 150 members for about 6 years. And the reason why a little plus there is at the end of 150 members is because we also have extra sort of memberships or shares that we offer. which is also to diversify and increase our income, which ultimately then benefits all of our full members. Here's a big list, lots of words on a slide. I know it's bad. Look at the pretty picture and I'll just read them out to you. So what Distributor CSA Farm offers? We offer a lot of different things. So we're quite diverse. We offer a share for adults, a share for teenagers, which is half that price, and a share for kids over 5, which is a quarter of that price. We also offer a share for people on a lower income, such as students. Ors, where the farm is a university town. And they do a little bit more volunteer work. People also have a chance to, we allow them to donate to us so that they can actually buy other people a share, which is a really great system. And at the moment, there's about 10 people that have had a share bought that way, which is really, really fantastic. We offer all of our members that they self-pick their own veggies and their herbs, and they get a lot. They get enough to eat each week, and also a fair few veggies to eat over winter, to store themselves and eat over winter. Our members work on the field, or they can also do extra things and join our working groups and build skills that they want to, or exercise their skills that they've got, such as landscape architecture or building or herb curation and herbal remedy preparation. Kids under 5 are completely free and they can get all their food from us as long as their parents are with us. We offer tours to our members so that they can understand the field better and get as much out of it as they can. We offer our members also social gatherings as well as courses such as edible weeds, fermenting, and preserving foods. This year has been a little bit difficult, of course, because of Corona. We haven't been able to have any social gatherings, and for that reason also our courses have been pretty low in number, basically 0, but 1 is coming up. Members can use the field for their own social events. They can invite friends to the field and have a barbecue. The field is theirs. They are reclaiming the commons. Family members of shareholders that aren't a shareholder or a member can also join our social events if they pay a small membership fee too. They can have access to all our courses, social events, such as a normal member, as a full shareholder does. The big social event that I'm talking about here is our annual Harvest Feast, which is a 4 to 5 course gourmet meal based on all of the veggies from the field, made by our farmer, which is also a chef, which is a pretty cool deal. We also offer an experience share where there's no vegetables involved, but groups such as workplaces come for a picnic, or groups of older people use the place to get out into the fresh air and smell herbs and things. Also, this is really well taken up by schools and kindergartens. They bring their classes, to an outdoor classroom, and it becomes a bit of a agricultural science experience for them. And we have an open day once a year. Here's some of our numbers. Okay, because we're talking about revenues and costs here, right? So I had to do this. I didn't want to share a big Excel sheet. I hate lots of numbers on a big screen, so I'm going to keep this pretty basic. What we charge per person is 2,800 kroners for the vegetable and the experience shares. And we also charge a low one-time only membership fee. This membership fee is like a savings for us. We use that in an emergency, for example, when the plastic on our greenhouse gets ripped in a storm, or when a machine breaks down. Or we can also, after it's been saved for a couple of years, use it for a special project, which is what we're doing right now. We're building a pizza oven for anybody to use, all of our members to use, and that's where our investment money is going at the moment. With this vegetable share and experience share, that 2,800 kroners, that all goes into our operations for the year. So that's salaries and seeds, plants, other inputs, materials, tools, as well as expenses that we spend on our members, events, courses, paying for food for events, paying for people to run courses, that sort of thing. We do get some subsidies, and they're quite significant. We're certified organic, so that increases our subsidies massively. We get also subsidies for cultural landscape upkeep. So that's about 20,000 kroners per year. And that then pays literally for our rent. Our rent is based on subsidies. We have a 10-year lease on the land from a farmer. And 6 years ago when we started, our subsidies were 7,500 kroners per year for our 1.4 hectares. And our subsidies have since increased, but of course our rent hasn't. So it's completely offset by that. We do apply for grants for development of the farm, improvements, and mostly grants have to be based around new projects on the farm. Been rejected for many, but also have received quite a few, which makes a big help. So it's important to just go for it and apply for whatever grants, tilskudd, are available. And there's people that can help you find them. Between the 3 staff, including myself, we share a 60% job. So our pay per hour is 224 kroners, which is pretty good in our industry. It's agriculture, remember, so average agricultural wage in Norway is really low. There's no minimum wage here, and a lot of farmers get away with paying, especially migrant workers that aren't unionised, they get away with paying them quite low, like disgracefully low wages. So I want anybody here listening to this to always pay your staff well, and to remember that if you're not paying your staff well, then your business isn't viable. Put that at the forefront of your business plan, please. Our operations costs, we'll have a quick look at that. Seeds, plants, inputs such as fertilizer and straw, materials and just small tools, because we need a lot of tools because our members also use them. That costs around 65,000 kroners per year and has done for the last 3 years. Our membership fees and other fees cost us around 22,500 kroners in 2020. And by membership fees, I mean we are a member of a number of organisations that represent our industry, represent agriculture in general in Norway, and also this includes platforms that we use online to organise our membership and our accounting. It's not software, accounting program that we use. We also spend about 9,000 kroners for the last 2 years on courses and events for our members, and we see that as a big investment. It's really important to keep our members happy, not with just veggies, but with we're building community. We'll move on to my next business now. It's a very small business, Villpluk, which means wild picked in English. We, as in my husband and I, have this very small business. It's like a hobby that pays for itself, as well as paying for one big holiday per year. So we've got the kind of infrastructure and market to scale this up if we really needed to, if either of us became suddenly unemployed or we really needed to financially. The biggest costs for this is not the food, not the raw produce. We get all of that for free, actually nearly all. We pay for the sugar, the organic olive oil and the organic sunflower seeds. And there's a lot of sugar too, goes into jam. But our other big costs are our time, as well as our packaging. Glass jars and glass bottles are not cheap at all. We've got friends in this industry, and that are trying to make their small gourmet wild food businesses at least 50% of their income, and they're really struggling to do that. We also run some courses, and I'd say that the courses are so worth it because it's not only a way of promotion, but it's also pretty low cost to run, where we've got that experience business model built into this wild food business. And lastly, I'm an agroecologist consultant. I consult for a number of other community supported agriculture farms, and also consult and teach at several community gardens in Oslo. I also do a lot of other teaching, workshops, and more general public speaking and presenting internationally and locally. And also I design, do a lot of designs on community garden spaces and CSA farms. My biggest costs here are, of course, travel. Well, I were before Corona, but my time. It takes a lot of time to pull this sort of thing off. So then I've got to really think hard about how what I charge per hour. I found this really hard to do at the start, and I think, I know I undercharged quite a bit. I learnt from others in the industry, and I also just sort of reflected a bit, well, how much does a plumber charge? How much does an architect charge? And a lawyer? And placed myself, depending on my customer, within those ranges. I do charge community gardens a lot less, of course, than I do a bigger business. And a new farmer starting out, of course, I take that into consideration too. So I've got a sliding scale for my hourly rates. I've just talked about all of that. Unexpected costs. This is a big one. It's really important to build this into your business plan, and I haven't mentioned this enough. Write a business plan and update your business plan, and make your business plan, your budget for your business plan. Really, don't try and squeeze everything in. Rather, expand your budget and then be surprised and delighted when you don't spend that much money. It'll mean that you'll cry a little bit less and have less sleepless nights at the end, because there is going to be some unexpected costs. It could be a natural disaster. I consider brunsnegler, these invasive brown slugs that devoured one of my farms last year, a natural disaster. They were ridiculous. They cost us whole crops. Luckily, of course, with the CSA model, with the prepaid customers, they rolled with it. Of course, they were not happy about it, and some of them left. But we came back from that also. Luckily, that maybe one of the only good things for us out of Corona was that suddenly a lot of people in Oslo really wanted to get local food. They wanted a secure food source. They wanted a food source where the only people that had touched it was their farmer and themselves. And so we had a lot of people join back again this year. Then we knew how much money we would have to spend on slugs, and we spent a lot. So although that wasn't built into the budget previously, and we're back down to, on this farm, where I'm a farmer for hire, basically, we're back down to zero in the bank, pretty much because of these little bastards. So we spent a lot of money on organic controls for them throughout the year, and through that, we've had zero problems with them, and our members have been delighted, and that word spreads. So that's gold, basically. Another unexpected cost is if a machine breaks down, which you can deal with a share economy, knowing your neighbours, knowing other farmers, other urban agriculture business owners. What can we share? What can we hire from each other instead of having to suddenly buy a whole new machine? Keeping our costs low, one of those business models, remember? Or even worse, getting injured yourself, and that did happen to me. I am a sole business operator, a sole entrepreneur. In Norwegian, that's an enkeltpersonsforetak. And I wish that I had have been an RS, just rolled with the increased administration, because that way I would have been supported financially when I was so badly injured that I couldn't work. But as it was, when I was just a, since I'm just a small business operator by myself, as enkeltpersonsforetak, I got nothing, and I just had to diversify. So I really diversified, invested my time in diversifying, and came through that. But it was really tough. Income tax, when my income is finally enough to be, to be doing quite well, then comes a bit of a tax shock, and suddenly you have to pay, 30,000 kroners in advance tax. So have that put away. Have a savings or an investment account, which isn't your where you take withdrawals from, but where you're constantly adding to in case of anything like this. Sometimes customers don't pay. Yeah, it's happening to me right now with 2 kind of long-term customers, so I'm going to give them a little bit of time, although it's already been a bit too long. It's about communicating, and ultimately, if this is happening, there is ways to recuperate your losses there by selling it on dramatically, selling it on to a one of those debt collectors. That's a bit extreme, but you don't have to make it you don't have to completely wear that as a loss. Like I said before, don't underestimate your startup costs, overestimate them. That way you'll be smiling as you fall asleep because you've spent less. That's it from me, and we're going to move into our activity. So in this little workshop, next 15 minutes in your breakout rooms, I've talked a lot about those 5 models: differentiation, diversification, a low-cost business model, an experiences model, and reclaiming or creating or recreating the commons. So which of these models could you expand on in your business in order to increase revenue but reduce cost? And how? How would you do that? Can you incorporate a prepay model like community-supported agriculture? What would that look like? And I want you to share your ideas and give ideas to your collaborators in your group. When we share ideas, we're less in competition and we're more in collaboration. And it's all about building up more and more resilient cities, food sovereignty, and connection with our food and our food growers, our food producers, our food makers. Now, people that look after our domesticated animals to provide that delicious food for us, where we fix our food systems together. All right, everyone. Tack for mig. Ha det. Goodbye.